Yeah? Okay. You are both, you're just fuck off there, you know, like... Robbie, you have to stay with... Okay, yeah. I think that often you find in amateur photographs or vernacular photographs or photographs made by amateurs, a certain beauty that you don't find in professional work, you know, professional photographers' work. Because I think that a lot of professionals can sometimes learn from these amateurs, because an amateur is also... has no pressure on making their photographs. They are totally naive in sometimes making mistakes. And, this kind of freedom they have has sometimes a very beautiful quality. And that's what I like in there, and that's also what I sometimes embrace in these kind of photographs. I think that even in... semi-professional photographs, you can find this kind of attention. Also, photographs made for a certain purpose, like a medical use or kind of all kinds of pictorial books that you find on flowers, on war, on sex. They are made for a certain purpose, but not as purely photography to hang on a wall. But just for a purpose. And when I then sometimes extract these images from its original context, they and put them in a new context, then you start suddenly to look at these images instead of looking at them in their original context. Yeah, I think it's also good to say that in these so-called vernacular photographs or photographs that you find in family albums, when you extract them from the album or when you take those pictures from internet, then you sometimes find a pattern in there. And that's what I find quite interesting, to almost, it's like a visual archaeology, that you dive very deep into other people's photographs and edit them in a certain pattern and in such a way that you can really tell a story with these photographs. I think also for the future that what you see on the internet nowadays, and because so many people are taking pictures, but they also take many times the same picture. I mean, people copy each other very, very much. And I think that, in most of the cases and most topics of photography and photographs are already made. But I think for the future that is very interesting, the story behind the photograph or the story behind a series of photographs. That is still, there's a future for that, because not a lot of the stories or not all of the stories have been told, and even not the stories behind a photograph that was already made. In the past 20 years, when I was working with found photography and vernacular photography, for me, there was never a plan to really do something with this. When I found my first series of photographs, I had them maybe for 3 or 4 years, and I hardly did anything with them. But other people challenged me to kind of make a book out of it, or place them in a certain order and edit them. So in that way, that's when I started with that, but without a plan in a way, but just to... what I liked and what I saw afterwards is when you take it from the context that it has into a new one, that is actually quite working and people are really reacting to it. But it has mostly to do also because they start re-looking at these images and yeah, they see them new. And also the photography world and in exhibitions and festivals, this was pretty new, although, I mean, in the past there have been artists like Boltanski, Hans-Peter Feldmann, even Richard Prince. In Germany there's Peter Piller and Joachim Schmidt, and they work for many years already with these kind of reappropriation of images. But even Andy Warhol did that already, so it is nothing new, I think. But I think that in the beginning of the 90s it was pretty much gone, because photography in itself became, I mean, the photographic cameras became better and better, and the formats became bigger. So there were a lot of photographers working really in fine arts and making photographs as a craft, and so around like 2001, 2002, when I did the first projects like that, it was also, to me, was kind of a surprise that it was so well picked up. And after that, that kind of accelerated in that way. And yeah, maybe I did over 60 books with found photographs. And you could say that maybe now now you see also that a lot of people are working with reappropriating images, which I think is only good, because then people also use their eyes instead of use their machine or use their camera. I think, I mean, you can also be a photographer without a camera, and because there are so many pictures still around that haven't been used yet, that I mean, they are waiting there to be used. And but you could say that nowadays, many people do this on flea markets. There's not a lot to find anymore, because there's a lot of hunters for it, and you could also say that in the whole world of in musea, festivals, and I mean, everybody is doing that now, but which I really promote. I mean, I think that is a good thing, and but you can, you know, what I find interesting, that maybe at a certain moment it's also the end of reappropriating photographs, and then is maybe something else is there to come. But for me, I don't have a pressure with it, because there's always something new to discover, and whatever that might be. But I promote to better look at images instead of just you know, you don't take a photograph, you make a photograph. You know, there's also something necessary for that to create it, and not only a camera and not only a machine. Yeah? Cool. Yes. Thanks.